Today, we're working on an SWB, a son of a waffle burger. Yeah, that joke was really bad. Oh well. Today we're working on an SWB 911, short wheelbase 911. What year is it? It's one of the short wheelbase years. Why would you ask a foolish question like that? What color is it? I don't know. Not the original color. Great looking car though. Isn't it beautiful? It is. I couldn't hear you from over there, so I just filled it in. It's beautiful. It's a great car. It has a fuel leak, and the fuel leak is in a spot it's kind of hard to get to. I would be able to get to it, truth be told, without too much fuss, but the owner requested that I just rebuild the front suspension while I'm in there. And I know some of you are thinking that sounds crazy, but it's actually not that crazy. Kind of makes sense. Now, there's a couple of things that we need to do while we're doing this job. We're going to be replacing strut mounts, struts, control arms, all kinds of stuff. First thing to know about this is that 911s have very lightweight lug nuts on them, and you shouldn't break them with a zip-zap gun. You want to take them off by hand. So we're going to start by taking the wheels off. Might have to chuck the wheel. We'll see. Yeah, somebody over-torqued these wheels. We'll remedy that when we put it all back together. It's such a warm day that occasionally I've got to give my camera equipment a rest. Otherwise, the batteries get kind of on the hot side. So, I know, whatever. I'm dealing with what I got technology-wise. So, I went ahead and cracked all the lug nuts free, and now we can go up. Get the AC back and cracking. Okay, so we're in general teardown mode. We're going to take the hubs off, we're going to take the caliper off, and disassemble just about everything because we're removing a lot on this. Yeah, that's about all you need to know. Porsche would ordinarily, I guess Porsche does, suggest that you take a screwdriver and put it behind this grease cap. You take another screwdriver and you pry against the two. That's what they show in the manual anyway. I've found this to be a more effective method than the prying method, is to get on it with a nice set of channel locks. Give it a little wiggle. And you could see how pliable that suspension was there, so you get an idea of why we're redoing this suspension. You'll recall these same spindle nuts from the VW Beetle. It's the same system. There's a lot of gatekeeping in the 911 world, and I think that's because of money. Let's face it, but it's because people want to think they're special. They're not special. I mean, the cars are special. The people aren't. But they want to think they are. So, here's the thing. All this stuff is just nuts and bolts. It's a beautifully designed, well-engineered car. Are there better cars? Sure. Are there worse cars? Sure. Is it one of the best cars? Sure. Is it one of the worst cars? Sure. It's a car, man. But, bottom line, brass tacks, it's a car. What else do you want me to say? These spindles, shockingly similar to a VW, you know? I mean, not in specification and all that stuff. I just mean design, right? A taper bearing and inner and outer with a wheel seal at the back and a pinch bolt clamp nut at the front. Like, come on. You know, let's not get all hoity-toity about it. Gently massage the backing plate out. Now you can see the hard brake line that goes to the caliper that mounts up there, and the soft line that goes around here and goes to the other hard brake line and back. We got to cut these two free because this is going to go to our new strut assembly. So there's a little line clip there holding it in. It's going to be an 11 and the other side's going to be a 14 then, but this is a stainless replacement line, so it is in fact a 14. I was right the first time. They pulled an odd and an even on me. Oh, look at that. They sure didn't. Oh no, they didn't. This may be standard. Let's see if the 15 fits it. 15 fits it kind of loosely. 15's close to what, 9/16? I think. See if a 9/16 fits it better. Sure does. Well, that's a shame. German car has a non-metric component on it. Well, shucks. Nothing's coming out of it. Pop that brake hose up and out of the way. Set this brake line down. Let it think about what it's done with its life, how it may or may not feel about its decisions. And now that I'm at this point, I'm going to take the opportunity to go and do the other side. I basically have decided that because of the heat of the day right now, and the fact that my camera equipment overheats occasionally on account of the little Bluetooth mic sending all the signal that way and it being 85 degrees in here, that I'm going to cool it down every once in a while. So I'm going to go to the other side and then we'll cut into this side again, start to strip down some of the suspension stuff and get it out of the way and just continue with the teardown. Stabilizer bar link. Sometimes they pop out of there with little to no effort. Had to try. Next thing you gotta try. Had to try. Next though, we're done trying. Now, we want it off. Make sure you got a little grease on these threads when you're doing this. I can't say that didn't scare me. Even when I know what's gonna happen. That little gizmo, that's money well spent. But, it will get you. It'll get you. All right, sorry, gotta have fun sometimes. Gonna go duplicate what I've done here on the other side, just continue to prep it. Take and zip these guys off. Turn the mount, or the knuckle, or the strut, however you're supposed to refer to that piece of Porsche technology. Go ahead and thread these bolts back in place. This is the lower stabilizer link mount. Now you've seen it. You've seen it here first. Okay, and yeah, so generally speaking, you know, you can pull this ball joint out somewhat. You're not going to be able to get it all the way out because of the way that the anatomy is, but you know, it'll slide down a little bit, give you a little more room to pull the strut down out of there. That's just fun. You don't have to do that. You don't have to pull that out. We're going to lower the car down and go ahead and remove the strut assembly. Right. So once the strut mount top securing plate is off of there, pull the rubber donut out too. There it is. There that went. So we're going to come under here. We're going to go ahead and wrangle the strut out. Pull down on it. These ones are basically mush at this point, so it's no big deal. And angle it all the way out. This is why I have this pad on here, because I want to get it past the body and make sure it won't pop up and hit the body at all. Now I can just kind of let it be, let it be a strut. And then we're gonna give it a wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. A wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Just keep wiggling it. And there it is. These ones are bogey. They're not bogus, they're bogey. And we're putting in Coney because even though that's not what came on the car, that's what the man wants. It's what the heart wants, it's what the man wants. It's what the man shall have. So, I suppose I'll just leave this one down here for the moment. So there you have it. We've gotten it that far. Now it's time to take off lower control arms, subframe for the steering, and the underpinnings, as it were. And we'll get on into the reassembly side of things. Now I already loosened the steering rack from its mount on the subframe. I already also loosened the preload on the control arm torsion bars. I'm going to start to zip down some of the subframe and control arm mounts and work on removal of all of that. I'll start with these big 19s because I'm already prepped for it. I'm going to leave them loosely hung in there. Nothing too crazy, but just so they're hanging out. Again, keep it hanging. Those ones I'm not going to leave hang. Just the front ones. These back ones I'm taking out all the way. These are just little shorties anyway. I'm going to go after these front ones. Good amount of crust on them. This very front one, I'm going to have to either get with a chrome socket or tap it with a hammer. My impact socket won't fit in there. We'll try a chrome socket on it. That will fit. Alrighty tighty, lefty loosey. Now then, the subframe's been up here for more than a minute, so it doesn't want to drop down out of there easily. The front, as you can see, loosened up nicely, and it's dropped down, so that's nice and friendly. It's just in the back here. A little gentle prying, very gently. There we go. It just was hugging it real nice. Real nice and good and huggy. Come over to this side, do the same thing. Gentle, pry down. There we go. Now the subframe's all ready to fall off of there. It's not the heaviest thing on earth, but it's got enough weight to it that I'd rather, you know, not have it swing and hit me in the teeth. So I'll pull some of the bolts while it's up in the air just so I'm down to a couple, and then bring it down lower, give it some support, slide under there, and take these back bolts out and drop it down. There it is. Steering rack's still left floating in here. That's all right. Just leave it floating in there for now. We'll get to it eventually, but we've got more stuff to do on this right here. Got a fuel hose to repair, as we've talked about. It's the whole reason for getting in all the suspension work, is to go ahead and take care of a fuel leak. So that is what we're gonna do. Got a lot of new fancy stuff that's going back on this car, all powder coated up and ready to go. So there'll be some disassembly involved in this, but for the most part I'm just looking to get the torsion bars out of it, transfer those over into the new stuff, and everything will be bolt up with the new. So out with the old, in with the new. Here's some of the freshly powder coated and ready to go parts. This is an original steering damper in the box, made in West Germany. That's kind of a cool vintage part. So the fuel leak was happening from the hose clamp there above the steering rack. That one right there. The light is hot spotting right now. And it's coming down here to this port. And you can see that it was running down that hose, and leak in here onto the tank and taken off the undercoating of the tank. This one seems decent overall, where it's plumbing up and out of there, but in the smuggler's box area. But this one up here, that was the one that was leaking. So, gonna drain the tank. Hopefully there's not too much fuel in it. And then I'll drop the steering box down, or not box as much as rack. I'll drop the steering rack down so it's out of the way. I'm gonna replace those brake hoses as well because those are old and have seen better days. Well, been away from this for a couple of days because I needed parts and all kinds of other things. And now I'm back to it, and there's been a lot that's happened piecemeal, if you will, while you weren't watching. Replaced all the fuel hoses that needed replacing, all of them. So there you go. Not the ones at the back half of the car, but all the fuel hoses at the front half of the car. Rebuilt the lower control arms and installed the steering rack and put turbo tie rod ends on that and a bunch of stuff, right? And now I'm installing the struts. Got little donuts, and we're gonna put it all together. Let me grab the strut. Now these aren't conies, they're coney inserts, but they're bogie strut housings, but he elected to have them painted coney orange. Red, that's red, coney red, I forgot, it's a red. My bad. And so that's what he did. You can see how thrilled I am about it. I'm gonna compress this on down as far as it'll compress. Come on, compadre. Is that already there? It is. It's already there. And duck it under the fender and then work the knuckle in. Now I can leave it for a second like that. Grab my bolts and stuff for it. And install those up. Gotta give it just the right wiggle jiggle. We're gonna pull this strut up into place. Push, pull, whatever. However you wanna go about thinking about it. That should work. As long as I can grab it from the top side here and work it up. Come on, man. Just help it up a little bit here. There we go. We helped it. A little bushing thing and other stuff and things and stuff. I know you're not getting the best view of this, but just, I'm doing it, you know? You can just trust me. Okay, now, what's it gonna do? Is it gonna tap on those down there? Well, the other side went easier. Here's the deal. I got a little powder coat on the bottom of this control arm that might be causing the bolt to not want to fit all the way through. I'm tapping on it, but I don't want to just send the threads past it. So I'm pop it back up. I'll give a little spin around there, clearance it a little bit, and then send it back down. In the meantime, just gonna keep reassembling different things. And yeah, I'll give you an overview of everything that I've done when I've rebolted stuff up, and I've got to reassemble the brakes yet and a bunch of things. So you'll get to see a lot of that. But yeah, that's what's happening right now. Strut's going into place. So, and the beautiful coney red down there. So I've put a lot of time into the front end rebuild of this 911. There's been all kinds of fun things. The powder coater overcoated things. Customer supplied a lot of parts on this car. And so we used his people, and I've got to tell you, there's a reason why us mechanics don't like that. And I was willing to work with him on it this time, but in the future, I'm not doing it again. I had to clean off powder coat that was inside of the bore of the the cross member. It's not the rear cross member because it's not the rear car, but the cross member that holds the steering rack in and the lower control arms bolt to. Just all kinds of stuff that I shouldn't really have to deal with. So that's been just not fun. Hey though, now I get to torque down the ball joint to control arm. And we're rocking. Couple of cotter pins. We're getting real close to completion on this. So, which is nice. I've already tightened them up a little bit, but we're going to take them to final torque here, which is 54 foot-pounds. Sometimes you got to take them a little more in torque to be able to pass the cotter pin through. And that is the situation that we're at. I don't want to back them off. I'd rather go tighter than looser. So that's just the nature of working with a bolt that takes a cotter pin instead of any other form of capture for locking it down. So I'm gonna go, it's close anyway. I might have to go a little further, but we'll see. Let's see about this. There we go, we're lined up. Well, rather than back them off, I tightened them down. Like I said, you know, it's the nature of the design. It'd be nice if the exact foot-pounds would allow me to pass a cotter pin through there, but they only have these cross-drilled in one location, so there's nothing I can do about it. Just lines up where it lines up. Let's drop a cotter pin in there. It's a little on the long side, isn't it? Here we go. I'll roll with that. Can tap it into place. I gotta find another one of those. You would think this would be an organized box, but that's what you would think. Yeah, gotta take that one a little tighter. Now let's see about it. All right, now we're in business. Business. Light little taps with that one. A little punch. All right, we're gonna take and spin these pins. These little locking parrot pliers. I like these guys for when I'm bending a cotter pin down into place. They make it look real good. Real nice and fancy. Well, now we're going to torque these bolts. Same ones that we did on the opposite side over there. Same torque spec, same cotter pin situation. And this one looks like it'll be maybe a little more friendly. Maybe. I'm going to have to torque this one up a little bit more. The other one I might be able to pass cotter pin through. As it is. Again, whenever you have a castellated nut, if the cotter pin hole is blocked, you can't go down in torque. You have to go up. And that just generally makes for a frustrating time sometimes. I think I can get this cotter pin through here. I think. We're gonna give it a little tap and find out. But I don't know if I can get it through on this other side. It's supposed to be a really thorough little kit, you know, and then everything just runs away from you. And yeah, man, I wish they had 4 holes on this. They only have 2. They've just got it cross-drilled. It really is quite frustrating because to torque this all the way around, it's going to be a serious lot of torque on it. I might try and tap the cotter key past that. It's not my favorite way of doing it, but this cotter key is going. It started to stop going. So we're gonna need to give it a little bit more. Pull that one out of there. There we go. Now this will pass through here. All right. And we can do a jobby on it. Bend it up. Hang on. That's a different size cotter key. See what I mean about my my cotter key kit being a little bit whatevered? Just, it's whatevered. It's confused. All right, we'll go through here again. Gotta find a big fat one that's not too long. It's also not too fat. Is this it? Comparing with the other side. That's it. Boom. All right, let me get another one of those while I'm here. Not too long, not too fat. There we go. And then my favorite parrot pliers for bending these up. Getting a little tightness corner to corner. And I'll show you what that looks like. There you go. Now you can see how the hole in this one is being blocked a little bit. And so I got to find a way of making it so I can pass the cotter key through it. But I don't want to back it off. Backing it off would be the cheap way out. We're not cheap, man. All right. I don't know why I got so aggressive. I'm sorry. Please don't change the channel. Here's what I'm curious about. I'm curious if I back it off and then retorque it, if I can get it to seat a little differently. So that's what we're gonna do. Now, sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. We're gonna hope for the sometimes it works. Nope. So we're gonna have to keep torquing it until we can pass the cotter key through. Almost. Should be right about there. Needs a little more. There we go. So now on your lovely Porsche, what you're going to discover is that it's highly probable that your bolts, your castellated capture bolts for your strut and ball joint to control arm, these bolts that we're working on here, also are only drilled in two places. And if that's the case on your car, then you can do what I did. And you can take the torque a little bit higher so that you can get the cotter pin through. It's okay, it's appropriate. You can also run a little grease on it to make it a little easier if that's the case. I didn't do that with these, but you know. But you gotta get that cotter pin through. You can also run nylock nuts, but nylock nuts wouldn't be original from the factory. These are factory original style, so a little extra torque takes care of that. Hey, actually, caught that. Well, what can I tell you? I can tell you that I have more work to do. What else do I have to do on this glorious 911? I have to connect up the steering spindles to the tie rods. I have to lead the brakes. I have to install the brakes. I have to finish a lot of stuff. So I'm gonna keep after that and give you some views as we keep rocking and rolling on this lovely 911. And then we're gonna get towards test drive. Yeah. I'm going home. It's the end of the day. It's a beautiful day, but it's the end of the day. See you tomorrow. I punched the bearings out of the hub for the 911. Both hubs actually, but I went ahead and did the other one first. And now we're doing the passenger side. This one's the passenger side. So this is very dirty. It's grimy. all over. Right? Even grimy in the front. And look at this. And they shouldn't have done this. And I don't know why people do this. Somebody put grease or anti-seize on the lugs. Look at this. It's everywhere. I mean, if I spin it on my fingers, it just, like, that's awful. Like, okay, my pinky finger's pretty clean, right? Just spin it on here. Look at that. That's awful. Don't do that. That's a no. Things you should not do. You don't grease your lug nuts. There are, like, once in a blue moon, the appropriate applications for greasing your lug nuts, okay? I'll admit that. But it's, like, not very often, okay? And certainly not when you're using a Fuchs wheel on an original Porsche. You just don't do that. So whoever did this way over torqued these wheels. It was a nightmare getting them off. And I plan on thoroughly ultrasonically cleaning this hub. Now, this doesn't need to be showpiece, so I'm not gonna go too crazy. But I am gonna dunk it in the ultrasonic for about 20 to 30 minutes with aircraft quality cleaning solution that is good for the aluminum and, well, safe for the aluminum. I don't know if it's good for it, but it cleans it. And we're gonna see the results together. So let us clean before we bearing. Real good look at it. That's how it's going in. And we'll see how it comes out. Okay, that's about all of this that I can stand to listen to. Peace and quiet. I don't know if the microphone was canceling the sound out or not, but it's a noise. It's a noise that it makes. So let's see how clean this hub is after, oh, I turned it off. Let's call it 25 minutes. All right. Now, here's the deal. The face looks nice and clean. Huh? Steamy too. The backside doesn't look so clean, right? It's still got gunk on it. However, this gunk will just swipe right off of here. I'm pushing it around. You're not gonna I'm not gonna get it clean with the glove because I'm just pushing it. You can see it just swipes around, right? So I'll put it over in my parts washer. I'll let it cool down a little bit so I don't subject it too much to like some crazy temperature differences and whatever. Pop it in my parts washer over here and go ahead and wash the rest of it off and it'll be nice and clean. Get this off my gloves. Should ultrasonic my gloves sometime. Just get them clean again. Ugh. Reliable technology that I have here at the shop. All right. Angling over this way to the parts washer. Let's wash us some parts. What do you say? I'm not going crazy. I just want to make it so that it's somewhat better than it was. Clean some of the filth off of it so that it can be refilthed for miles and miles. Miles and miles and miles and miles and miles. Oh yeah. The who, anybody? The what? The who? Wait. Addie didn't like that joke. She's woken up from her slumber. She's looking at me. She's barking at me. What's going on, girl? What's going on, girlfriend? How you doing? I gotta wash a hub. Oh. That's not fair. That's not a, hey, it's not fair. All right, Addie's mad at me, so I'm probably gonna have to take her for a walk. I know. I'm just trying to, okay. Okay, she's like, Dad, you suck. You know, I'm just trying to get something done. I'm just trying to get something done, sweet pea. And you pick now to go on a walk? We can go on a walk? Look at this. Look at what I have to put up with. Look at this. This stubborn greyhound. Yeah. Her har. Har. Oh, we don't want to be on camera? No, we're gonna go. We're gonna go. Pull up my heartstrings. There we go. Took Addie for a walk, so the boss is happy. And now, look at that. Cleaned up really nice. Just a 20-minute, we'll say, cycle in the ultrasonic. And then getting the rest of it off with, you know, regular old mineral spirits in my parts washer. So that's all that's required for this guy to look pretty. We just want to be pretty. And go dry this off now that it's nice and clean. And we'll punch some bearing races in it. And what else will we do? Bearing races. Grease pack bearings. Brake rotor. Stuff. It's getting there. We're getting back together. Almost 9/11 time. These grease caps, cleaned out fully. No more grease inside. But they're pretty rusty. So I'm gonna blast them, I'm gonna paint them, and then we're gonna put them back on the car. Now, when you install the grease cap, you don't put any grease in on the Porsche 911, per Porsche's instructions. They say install the grease cap without grease in it. It's explicitly said in the service manual. So sometimes you pack a little grease around there, and not in this case. So they're cleaned out, gonna sandblast them, paint them up, put them on the car. The assembly's going okay so far. I'm not really gonna get my blasting cabinet all like fancified for this. Might not even connect the vacuum to it. I actually have another blasting cabinet that I'm supposed to put into use right now, but I haven't because I'm a dummy, and it's a brand new, like even nicer than this cabinet, and it's got a little centrifugal thing to collect all the media and recycle it back in. And time. You gotta have time for that stuff. I'm working on building a second clock so I can do things with double time. I'm gonna blast these. Can't see anything. Huh. How about that? They're all blasted. Nice and pretty. Gonna paint them. Ooh, castanets. Maybe. Gotta get it. Gotta get my technique. I know. I'm not gonna quit my day job. This is my day job. Welcome to my world. It's more fun than you would think, going slowly insane. I'm gonna paint these. I just need to take a moment to talk about how the white vehicles here have like, they're kind of like menacingly, they've, just look at this. There's this cute little orange beetle here, right? And then, da-da. Like, just staring at it. And it's not just this one. But there's this one too. And then there's this one. The heck, you guys? What the heck? Why are y'all just being creeps? Just creeping on the shop. Why are you being creepy? I just feel like, see, they're still back there. They're just, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not totally comfortable with that. Anyway, the grease caps are drying, so I just, just getting creeped out by those. I feel like the camera doesn't do it justice, like it's not as good on camera. Maybe it is. All right, these are all painted up, ready to go. My favorite thing to do. Favorite dumb joke. Yeah, so, you know, just nice and satiny black. All that, I'm gonna pop them on the front wheels here. Got the calipers mounted. Struts are in. Sway bars connected. Bearings are installed and greased. We're looking like a Porsche. Like it could be a drivable Porsche. Shortly. Before too long. It's always the thing about freshly painted stuff is like, you know, keeping it pretty. Making sure it stays pretty. Because if it had a week of cure time, you get it, you know? But because it doesn't, gotta do one of those. Use the part of my hand with less dirt on it than the other parts of my hands. Man, I work such a dirty job. There you have it. Oh yeah, brake pads are installed too. It's pretty. Gonna go to the other side. That might not even need the hammer tapping. Hammer tappin'. Rhymes with Max Verstappen. I bet Max Verstappen has done the hammer tapping a few times. I don't know what that means. My mom always told me to watch what comes out of my mouth, but I ain't seeing. These jokes are pretty bad. Hub cleaned up nice. Grease cap cleaned up and painted nice. Calipers rebuilt professionally. Rezinked. Installed. Torque to spec. Brake backing plate has been replaced. I would have preferred to have restored the original, but this was already provided to me. I'm not going to fight with people. Going forward, I think I might fight with people, because I would have preferred to have restored the original. Anyhow, this thing's turning out beautifully. This is a heck of a car. It's going to be really pretty. It's going to be really nice to drive. And there's a couple of things left. I've got to bleed the brakes. I've got to set the ride height for the front. The back wasn't apart, so the back's going to stay the way it was. And get an alignment. An alignment. I don't know why I said it that way. Get an alignment. Get an alignment. Mint. Make it mint. Part of my arm. All right, I'm just enjoying hanging out, really. That's all I'm doing. So let me bleed the brakes. Let's just do that. I'm going to pressurize the system, check for leaks, send some fluid through there. I'm just playing around with hammers now. Oh, you know what? Funny enough, I have to pinch a line off on this. Just remembered. Because the way Porsche designed this brake fluid reservoir, there's actually a vent line, so you don't have to have a vented cap on the master cylinder reservoir. So I've got to pinch that line off before I can do what I was just trying to do, which is pressurize the system. All right, now let's see if we can get some pressure into this. There we go. Needle's going up slowly. And do this without any fluid first, and then you let it sit for a bit. Make sure that your system is going to hold pressure. And then you go ahead and put fluid in it and go through with the whole bleed. Dropping a little bit. I don't know if you can see that on there. But here's the thing. There may be a little fluid still in that system. So I'm going to see if it just continues to drop or if it levels out. So I'm pushing a little fluid through the hose there, and it stopped dropping now. It's kind of leveled out. If it continues to drop, no, it's dropped a little bit more. I'll probably have a small leak somewhere. So I'm going to chase that down, try and seal it up. So what I found is that on the wonderfully rebuilt calipers that are nice in zinc and cost $600 or $800 plus a core fee and all of that stuff, the bleeders need to be extremely tight, like extraordinarily, like as if you're going to snap them tight. And I'm not real happy about that, to be honest. But it's no longer letting pressure out. Yeah. So as long as I'm not losing pressure, I'm good. I chased down all of my connections with soapy water, and the bleeders were the only things, despite being extremely tight, they were the only part of this whole thing that was bubbling out a little bit of air. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So it's all chased down, and now we're gonna start the brake bleed process. So here's the deal. The process on this is to begin bleeding with the outer bleed valve on the left rear wheel on a left-hand drive, which this is left-hand drive. Then the inner bleed valve on the left rear, and then the outer bleed valve on the right rear, and then the inner bleed valve on the right rear, and then the right front, and then the left front. And once you've gotten all the air out of the system, and that's all accomplished, it should be happy-go-lucky, ducky, ducky, ducky. We fill it with the hydraulic. I usually pump to about 15 psi. It'll drop down somewhat naturally because there's already air in the system that it's compressing now that it has hydraulic fluid in it. And I heard some of the air come out. Pump it up a little bit more. We should be in good shape now. Start our bleed. Specifically in the manual, it says to start with the left rear outer. And then there's an inner. These are split calipers that don't share continuity between the outside piston and the inside piston, so they have their own bleed on both sides. They do share continuity at the bottom for fluid, so there's only one fluid line going in, no jumper line or hard line on the exterior like some calipers do. So for getting all the air out of both sides in the rear, as opposed to the front, you have 2 bleeders. So open that up, we'll see our fluid start to flow, and we're just gonna give this a nice long bleed here. Yeah, just gonna continue to let this puppy fill up. Fill, puppy, fill. So I checked in a cool little dune buggy a second ago. Manx copy, but a nice Manx copy. That's here for a fuel leak. Now we're just getting back to finishing up this brake bleed. Start with the outer over here. This is more of a flush for the back because the back shouldn't really have any air in it. So the other side was fooling me because it started to siphon some air through the bleed threads. More what I'm looking at is the color fluid. I got 2 cups here. It's coming out orange right now. It's sort of a clearish orange. It's kind of mixed with the new fluid and the old fluid and all that. So move over, you can see this one's kind of orange. That is sort of a dehydrated, yeah, you know, dehydrated marathon runner. And the cup that I'm going into isn't like the cleanest on earth, so there might be a little color to this too, but I can already see that it's a much nicer fluid color. We're already there. We're already with fresh fluid on this. Don't need to go wasting products. I'll show you the color difference on this one. There you go. So you got that versus this. And there's your brake fluid flush. This is the old stuff flushed out. That's the new stuff that's flushed in, if you will. All right, now we're on the rear bleed valve back there. Cracked it open, we'll let it bleed. And usually I use this time to contemplate. I think we've cycled all the bad stuff out of there, but get into here. All right, rear circuit is bled. It's good to go. I'm gonna empty out this nasty fluid and no, don't drink it. Don't drink the brake fluid, do not. And then we're gonna move on to the front, which will be the passenger side front. So you get to stay on this side of the car and just move forward. And once we're done with the bleed there, move to the driver's side, and once we're done with that, brakes should be fully bled. And then set ride height, bolt the wheels back on, and time for, you know, time for an alignment, and then test drive. Now, I'm up to the fronts, and this is where these bleeders need to be obscenely tight. And that's not my favorite thing on earth, but it's just how the brake caliper has been rebuilt here. So I don't want to really go reprofiling the point and trying to, you know, get it to be different, behave differently, although I wish it would. So when I'm done bleeding it here, I'm going to be crunching it down pretty tight. But, you know, that's for the future. So it's already pretty tight. And here we go. Just letting air and fluid and everything out. And I'm just going to sit here and monitor this and see if any air comes through. Nothing so far. It's great being a mechanic and you get like an itch on your face and then your hands are disturbing. You try and figure out like what the cleanest part of your body is that you can use to itch the annoyance that has happened to you. And, you know, at a certain point you just have to decide to just bathe in brake fluid. Oh, there's some air. Outside of that, haven't seen very much. We're filling up this cup at a pretty steady clip. Definitely have no sympathetic air coming through. So that might have been one of the very last bubbles. I think we're pretty well there, just when I say that. Never hurts to give a good go at this. Just be patient, and I think we're there. Now, this is where I'm honestly scared. That's all I got the guts for. I don't want to go tighter than that. So I'm gonna leave it be there. If it leaks out a little bit, then I'll tighten it up more, but I'd rather approach with caution than strip or snap the bleeder off on brand new rebuilt calipers, even though the seat on them is not very good. So yeah, it doesn't feel like it wants to go further. I'll give it the old pinky pull. Yeah, it's really, really tight. Again, you know, I wish that wasn't what's happening, but it is. On to the driver's side. Driver's side. Same deal as before, and also the same situation as before with the tension on this puppy being a little bit on the tight side. It's okay, we're getting through it together. I'm almost out of brake fluid in the power bleeder. I'm gonna see if I can get this done without having to top it off. We shall find out. What can I say? This is some of the most fun I've had in a long time. Just balling up a rag, thinking about my life choices. There's good and there's bad there. This one's doing the thing where it drips a little bit from the bottom of the bleed screw, which is okay. I'll just wipe it up when we're done, but it further confirms the fact that you know, the rebuilders, they're not my rebuilders. These were like a buy through the mail, send your cores back in type of thing. I'm not in approval. I've got a local guy here in the Chicagoland area, Tanasi. He's incredible, and he does all of my caliper rebuilds. And shout out to him, the absolute best in the biz. And he would not let something go out the door and have this issue with the bleed screws. But I'll tell you what, it's not a life or death thing. Plenty of calipers get this way when they're worn and have been rusty and have had bleed screws mashed into the threads and stretched threads and all that. So, you know, there's a reason for it. They're working with cores that are, you know, 60 years old at this point. But they can do better. They can remachine those threads. They can upsize it to a different bleeder that's going to function better. These people are just taking them apart, maybe making a cut or two on the pistons. Well, replacing the pistons and seals, I hope, but maybe making a cut or two on the actual bodies of the caliper, the halves of the caliper body, I should say. And then they're just putting it all back together and saying like, yeah, those threads are good. They're not good. They're clearly not good. Clearly, we need to do better as a society when it comes to remachining things. Come on. To rebuild a caliper versus refreshing a caliper. You could do seals on one of these and have given it a good amount of new life. But have you rebuilt it? No, you haven't. If you rebuilt an engine, if you don't replace the bearings. See my point? You haven't rebuilt jack diddly squat. So attention to detail in rebuilding. Attention to detail in your aftermarket parts. Attention to detail. Paying attention to detail. Looking at the finer details. Keeping track of the details. Don't let the details pass you by. That's what I'm saying. That's what it's all about. All right, I've mopped up this caliper sufficiently. I've tightened that bleed screw to a point where I am sick to my stomach thinking about it. And I'm going to go ahead and get some little rubber bleed screw cap covers because they didn't provide me any. And this car should have some. In fact, all cars should have some because that bleed screw is a permeable area. It's a hole out with a little hole, and then you can get water in there and it'll rust. You can get all kinds of stuff. Debris, or as the British would say, debris. Let's bolt the wheels on and set ride height. Well, the crickets are swinging. They're probably swinging. Crickets are probably swingers. I never really thought about that. You think crickets are monogamous? They sing an awful lot. What I was going to say is, the crickets are singing, and I'm here late. Still haven't eaten supper. I have supper, just haven't eaten it. It's on my desk in the office. I'll get to it, I'm sure, when I get hungry enough. Went home, fed Addie, set her up, because she gets to a certain point, she's done with the workday. And she's the boss. So I set her up nice at home. And now I'm back alongside my beloved slate gray companion here. I wish it were mine. It's not mine. But I wish it was. It's a beautiful car. It's been a pleasure to work on this car. It's also been frustrating at times because of some of the parts quality issues that I've had. What I'm doing is I'm setting ride height, and the rear end's already set. We didn't do anything with the rear end. So I'm setting ride height for the front end. Now the way the book says to do this, which it's wonderfully simple, is a torsion bar front end. There's a torsion bar that runs on each side, separate torsion bars. Each one has a preload to it, so there's a left bar and a right bar. We're on the passenger side. I already set the left side. And the way that this system works is you're setting preload on that bar against the control arm, I guess let's call it, the carrier for it. I think it is a control arm. Trying to remember what they call it in the manual. They got a nice fun name for it, but the control arm. The bar passes through the lower control arm. And what you do is you get a measurement on it to the center of the dust cover here. You can use the actual dust cover behind the Fuchs center cap. I use the center cap because it's really nice and has a little, right in the center of the horse, the Porsche horse. Wonderful stallion that Ferrari ripped off. True story. There's a measurement there that can be had. So I measure right to the stallion's back. I use a sewing measuring tape a lot for this, for all kinds of rough measurements. Like if I want to roughly adjust toe in, toe out on a car, it gets me close. This car is going to be going to my alignment shop tomorrow, and it's going to get fully aligned there, and I will have him check ride height. It also doesn't have a full tank of gas in it right now, so I'm roughing this in so that it's somewhat close for him, and then I'll have him check all the measurements and everything. I'm going to give it a full tank of gas before I drop it off there tomorrow. But I can't just drive it over there with the torsions all wonky. I got to set it somewhere, and I might as well rough it in kind of close. So before you get your judgmental hats on, know that that's what I'm doing here. I'm roughing it in. So I'm going off my floor, which is mostly level, and right to the horse's back. Now that side was 300 millimeters or 30 centimeters. This side, it's looking like it is 301 millimeters, 302 millimeters. And there's a differential between this spindle point here and the axes of the lower subframe, I guess. We'll call it that. The cross member. There's a cross member bar in between both control arms. The control arms go into the backside of the cross member. So what you do is you take the offset of this to the center of that cross member, and you can use the back of the torsion bar, which has a little dimple point in it, just a little dimple point. And you can measure off that dimple point. Now that's going to float somewhere here. Well, what Porsche wants that differential to be is 108 millimeters. So they say if you're going to measure from the ground here and you get, like on that side, we got 30 centimeters, 300 millimeters spot on, then your differential is minus 108 millimeters. So that 300 minus 108, you're going to come out at 192. So the center of that torsion bar to the ground on that side is 192. Now you have a differential between driver side and passenger side of 5 millimeters. So that side is dialed in to 192. Well, I chose to make it 194 because I can use that differential to my advantage. Let's put it that way. There's no fuel in this car, so I went 2 millimeters higher in tension, and my logic for that is when it's fully burdened with fuel, it's hopefully going to be closer to where it should be at. There's not no fuel, but it's at 1/8 a tank or less, a couple of gallons, nothing really. I've settled the suspension several times, and so now we're going to do this side. So this side is measuring at 302 millimeters, which means that when you take that 108 out of it, at the torsion bar, we should be measuring at 194. And so that's where we're going to head for on this side, which is interesting because that's actually exactly where I set the other side at. So there'd still be a plus or minus 5 millimeter swing on that. And is any of this making sense? Okay, so there'd still be a plus or minus 5 millimeter swing on that because you can have 5 millimeters difference. So this side technically could be as high as 198 or as low as 180. This was 4, right? So 189. So yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna show you what I'm talking about because this is just stupid. This is dumb. Let's crawl under here. And so the important thing to know, and I know I wear the glasses funny, it's for the right angle when we get, anyway. The important thing to know is that center from my ultra level concrete surface to the center, we are rocking 302 millimeters. And so we're headed for 194 underneath here to the torsion center. Okay, here we go. We're going to torsion center. Oh, old man noises. Blinded by the light. All right, let me set my light on the lift arm here so that that's in the way. Okay, get rid of this thing. It doesn't need to be there. All right. Now, there's a view here that y'all have of the torsion center. I'm sure hoping this turns out. Otherwise, it's fruitless. Fruitless and pointless. I'm sitting on my tape. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm trying to not just give you guys like a complete shot of my crotch from the other perspective. So here's what we got, okay? We're gonna bend my elbow that way. Nope. Ah, crap. The other side was actually easier. I should have done that one for you. Here we go. Well, gonna need to move the light. That's a little better angle. It's not the easiest thing to do while also filming. Okay, so gonna touch it down to the floor and take a measurement there, pull it kind of taut, keep it at a 90 as best as possible. And now you can see that that measurement to the center of that dimple, that's 190 right there, okay? And we're reasonably straight up and down with this tape. I know I just sagged it a little, but we're 190 to the center of the dimple on a straight up and down hold of it. Now we want to take it up, so we're at 194. So we're close, but we're not quite there. So we're gonna turn this guy, and that's gonna take us to 194. So we're tightening direction. You can see there's no preload on it right now. So we're just gonna keep turning it. I hope the glasses are getting a good view of this. We're just gonna keep turning it. I'll lay my head down, get my hat all dirty. The sacrifices I make for the viewing audience. Oop, glasses are swinging around again. All right. Keep going, keep going. It's starting to come under tension now, which is positive. That's what we want. I'm gonna give it a check. We've been under tension a little bit. It's not gonna have gone very far, chances are, but it's worth checking early and often so you don't overshoot it. If you overshoot it, you have to resettle the front end when you back the tension off of it, which is just sort of generally a pain in the butt. So, here we go. And I would call that 192 right now. So we're gonna go up a little bit more, not a lot. Okay. Because now we're just talking literal millimeters. That looks pretty dang good. I'd call that 194 to the center. You know what? I want to go a little higher, actually. I don't know if you can tell, but to that dimple, I think I'm just shy of it. I'm at like 193. Another crank or so, and we should be there. I wish I knew what thread pitch these threads were, because that would kind of tell you how many millimeters you're going up as you get a complete revolution, but it's a little fruitless. You can just do it this way. That looks pretty close to 194. Yes, sir. So there we've got it. Pop the dust cover back on that bar, and we'll be in good shape. Oh. I've got a sweat sting in my eye. Adjusting the Porsche suspension made me emotional. Happens to the best of us. You grab that torsion bar cover. And we're back down. This is the torsion bar cover. Just pops right over. And we're good. I'm going to grab my torque wow wrench and we'll torque all the wheels. And that's I think it for this puppy. And I get to take it for an alignment tomorrow. Get it touched off perfect. Excited. And then test drive it. Make sure that everything's good. So I'm going to torque the wheels, and then I'm going to leave the lift arms under it because I'm going to go up one last time and just give everything a full visual inspection. Make sure all the cotter pins are all fastened correctly and bent, and everything's just the way I want it. Steering rack boots aren't bunched or turned funny. All of that stuff. And then I'm going to shuffle cars around because there's a fuel leak on a dune buggy, and not a Myers-Manx, but a pretty good-looking dune buggy. And I want to put that on the lift so that first thing in the morning tomorrow I can get after that fuel leak for the very wonderful gentleman that owns that. So that's everything for this 911 right now, short of test drive. So I suppose the next thing that you're going to see, barring any sort of incident, which it is a Porsche, so might just be test drive. Let's hope. Let's hope for that result. Front end service on the 1966 911 is completed, and it's sitting pretty. So, we're going to take it around for a test drive. But here's the thing. I am not going to go camera heavy on this test drive. I'm just going to use the first person perspective with the glasses. And the reason for that is because I respect this beautiful car and the owner. And let's just say that when you have an original Porsche 911 like this, and it's not yours, you don't want to go putting GoPro stickies everywhere. Most of the time I use suction cups anyway, but I don't want suction cups to fall off if I'm going around a corner and hit a bump and something like that. So that's where it's at. We're going to get a test drive in. We're all going to take this out and around. It's got a little bit of a hesitation at throttle. I've already taken it up and down the block a couple of times, and especially prior to service. It has a little bit of a hesitation in certain gears under throttle. It could use carb balance and sync. But I mean, hey, it's a beautiful car, and it was just in for front end service, and all that stuff can come at some other time. So, plus I think the owner does a lot of his own service when it's not on the major side. So I'll leave him to that. Let's get after it. the view everybody raves about. The heck was that about? What I have just discovered is that, oh, somebody left a Starbucks cup in here. That's sad. What I've just discovered is that there's a little ghost rattle, probably from a bushing down below this plate here at the transaxle nose. Guess they should probably put their Starbucks back where they left it. I'm disappointed. Judgment. Now that there's a little more temperature in the engine, you can drive it moderately spiritedly, as far as the roads will allow.